Welcome back to AI Search, the podcast about AI and ML in every industry. I'm so excited to have Martina Silov here today with us to talk about CroAI Association in Croatia and how we're expanding AI in Europe. Hey Martina, how are you doing?
Great, thank you for having me here.
Yeah, it's wonderful to talk to you. And let me know, how did you even get into the role of being the president of CroAI, and how did that career kind of launch?
Yeah, that wasn't actually quite planned, I would say. I ended up here by accident. So basically, when I was on my third year I was studying economics and business. So I never thought that I will end up in tech world, AI world.
Yeah.
AI is just new technology. It's just like big tech world. So we were doing in one student association, we were doing some kind of conference about AI, and no matter what you're studying, like are you in law school or med school, or are you planning to be an engineer or I don't know, a professor, AI will change your life and AI will have an impact on your professional career. So we started to do the conference, and we had some communication with CroAI. They helped us to do it. And after the conference was done, Secretary General Jan called me. Oh, do you want to join us? I was like, what?
What is this?
What is this? I was like, yeah, but I'm like in business and I want to work for big consulting companies. I plan my career in that area. I'm not sure if I'm going to be the right fit for something that is like association and tech and so on. And he was like, no, come on, just try it for one summer, do internship, and we will see.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let's do it. And it had something to do with my industry because like my first task was to do analysis about like how many companies are in Croatia about like doing something in AI. It was a collaboration between business and academia. Are there any women?
Yeah.
So it was basically market analysis. So it was fun. And by doing that, I think I fell in love with the ecosystem because, you know, growing up in Croatia where you have, I would say, even such a huge pressure from media and everybody else that people are so depressed sometimes, and everything is so like, oh, it's awful. And then you enter this ecosystem and everybody is so, no, we are building the best products in the world. We are going to be number one. And
startup culture.
Yeah, we're positioning Croatia in something totally different. And it's not just about startups. It was about even companies that are not tech companies who want to be number one in their field. Like, okay, let's implement AI and start doing something in tech, or start doing something in AI, and we can, I would say, scale our business with that technology. And it was so inspiring because you saw art people, business people, people in medicine and law who are using AI and scaling their business.
Yeah, I think that's what's very cool about tech and AI. It doesn't have to necessarily be somebody who's just, you know, doing software engineering, programming. It's so much more. There's so many different fields within that are non-tech roles that are able to touch the industry in some way.
Absolutely. I think we'll even, maybe we can mention that even later, because when I was entering, that was my hypothesis. Like, no, this is an engineer world or scientific
only
world.
People who graduate
I
from
don't have that knowledge.
Yeah.
And then after a couple of months, I just stayed there. And it was like I was running projects, I was running events. And I think when my previous president and secretary general saw that, they were like just stepping aside, like, okay, you're handling this. And at some point, I was the first employee there. I was a student there back then. And I think the association had like 150 members. And after 2 years, we had like a huge community, a couple of hundreds of people. We had a couple of European projects. We started to hire people, and everything became like a huge story. And we were one of the best AI associations in Europe. And we were like, okay, maybe we need business people, or we need, I would say, different mindsets, or just different brains who will collaborate with tech people and create even better ecosystem. And I think that's like my short story.
How you even got into it.
How I got in it.
And I think what I love about CroAI is, you do bring all of these people together. And through the association, I've been able to meet so many different roles, which is really great. But I also love the work that you've done and that CroAI has done also to expand Croatia in general as a tech hub into Europe. So if you could speak a little bit about that, because you also worked to make Croatia, I think they're ranked 10th or something in EU.
I think it's definitely the ecosystem. We have so many good founders. I think we have amazing talent here, tech talent. I think we are missing the other side of the story, like business talent, people who have really good business skills, sales skills, marketing, PR skills, and so on, to enter the tech field and to collaborate and create even better ecosystem.
Yes.
But what we did, I think the result that Croatia is highly ranked is because we have good founders, we have good tech talent, and CroAI was just a platform. How can we bring people together? What we were focused about, we have to I would say teach people what AI is. That was the first goal. The second goal was, look, we believe that there are so many small companies and bigger companies or corporations having their offices in Croatia.
Yeah.
Maybe they could be the first testers, or like let's do the first POC, like proof of concept with them.
Yeah.
And if it works with, I don't know, one telco in Croatia or one bank in Croatia, maybe it can work worldwide. So I think you're doing something in your own company. So basically that's the idea. And the CroAI was, I would say, platform who can connect business people, business owners, corporation with the startup founders, tech community, and so on. Not just them. We realized really early that you can have a great connection between these two, but if you don't have the right mindset in policy and in policy with policymakers, that won't work, because you grow up in US. I think you have really good knowledge about what I saw and what I believe, that everybody's connected there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter like if you're a politician or a business owner or an art person or, I don't know, dean of faculty. Everybody is
the network is really important.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot that, I think this was the first thing when I moved to Croatia that was really shocking for a lot of my friends, was that I would be happy to connect people if I saw that they would, not for like a date, male, female. And they're like, oh, why are you setting me up on a blind? Like, I'm not setting you up on a blind date. No, don't date each other. But like, I think from your skill set, you can learn something from one another. So I would actually connect a few friends and colleagues and etc. Make business connections for them, which ended up being like now friendships. Amazing. Or they learn something from the other. They're like, oh, we've never even thought of, professionally connections of, building our network. We thought that you were, trying to make us go on a blind date. But no, don't do that. You know
what was like one of the first impressions when we started with CroAI parties, because everybody, you're doing a party. Come on, are you a party? What's going on? It's like, no, wait a second. And then people were coming, and so people who they haven't seen like in years from different industries, different backgrounds. You had faculty deans, you had business owners, you had people from huge corporation, FMCG sector, banks, telcos, and so on. You had startup founders, you have unicorn founders, then you had politicians there, like ministers and so on. And like, what's going on? And everybody, I think the point was how many coffees will be arranged, how many lunches, how many business meetings, and that happened because after our parties, people often said, oh, I think I found myself an investor, or I found a new business deal, or I think I have an opportunity with this company. So that was the point.
Exactly. And I think we are in Croatia, it is very separate, people at the university especially maybe won't branch out, maybe they will, or they'll start their own research, but they're not very connected into the business world always. And then the business world is not really connected to the university. And then of course politics, founders are trying to avoid that, so they don't even touch it. And I think it's great because I've met, in lawyers and business people and things in, my career here in Croatia, which, through CroAI, so I think that's really fun.
Oh, that's so good to
through
hear.
The meetups, right?
I think we're done with this podcast.
So
everything.
This is really great, and I think that's something that if it wasn't a party, if it wasn't like a leisurely activity, it would be more difficult. Obviously, on a meetup, it's more difficult to approach someone and randomly talk. But if you're already in the foods and the drink and the coffee and this kind of atmosphere, it's definitely a great way to connect, or even just see people maybe you haven't seen in a long time. Yeah,
that's true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah. So you are doing a business role in an AI company. So tell me a little bit about that and how AI doesn't only mean programming that you have to finish at engineering university or, deep tech science university. How, economics degrees, marketing degrees can excel with AI, especially today with generative AI and all the things that are happening.
A couple of years ago, I'll just have a really, really short story. A couple of years ago, I think on InfoBip Shift, I met one investor from Estonia, and he said, look, Croatia reminds me so much of Estonia. I'm not saying we're similar. I think we have different social backgrounds, like we're not the same countries, and maybe we don't have the same opportunity. But what he said, at the beginning, Estonia had great tech talent, and we had amazing startups, amazing unicorns. But when was the moment when Estonia exploded? I was like, when? When business people entered.
Yeah.
When the talent from corporations, from marketing sector, PR sector, biz dev, sales, everything that we already mentioned, policy, lobbying, and so on, when they entered the tech world, magic happened. I think something that we're maybe missing here, and every time you're listening to founders, and we have great founders here in Croatia, you will see that nobody is going to tell you, oh, we're missing engineers.
Yeah.
We have great engineers. Faculty here of engineering is doing a great job. But what we are missing, for example, if you're looking for a product person, it's impossible to find because you don't have that kind of talent here.
Yeah, and policymakers who are, putting forward technology. Because in Estonia, especially, I think it's a lot of tech-driven policy.
Yeah, and I mean, in CroAI, we were always focused. There are things that we can change and can change.
Of course.
The things that we can change, we can have. We can try to figure out how can we attract people from different sectors into the tech sector. And I think CroAI helped a lot, like people like you, and you make your startup better just by existing. But somebody has to do that part of the job. You need to have people who will create a product that is user-friendly. You need the people who will create a good story about that product. You need the people who understand that technology, but understand the needs of enterprises, and they're willing and able to sell that product to enterprises. And then you need policymakers who will understand technology and not, I would say, prevent innovation and so on. So you need a full circle.
Yeah, full circle, otherwise it breaks. I think that's really important, especially with Croatian companies, European companies who are trying to sell to the United States. They need that full circle, because if you don't have a good business team, how are you going to sell to the US? If it's disconnected, if the UI is not good but the tech's good, it's going to be hard, because there's so many top-notch companies, both U.S., China, all over, Singapore, many strong, whole Middle East has amazing, business people that we really have to push that. Here in Croatia, I think the tech talent is super high, and it's going to be interesting. I think other industries have really strong business people, so it's going to be interesting now that AI is kind of coming into the public space, so it's more recognized. It'll be interesting to see business roles from other industries kind of join into tech companies without prior tech experience, but still be able to make impact. So
but basically that's my role in Mindsmith. So, we have great engineers, we have great products, but in company that I work for, there was always a balance between tech and non-tech people, because we realize we have great engineers, but if you don't have people who understand other people in product, you won't be able to make a good product. And after that, if you don't have a good sales team, I have been talking to so many startups in Croatia. After product, people, you need salespeople, and that's one of the biggest problem of probably every startup there is. I believe you have similar problems.
Of course.
And your founder is the salesperson, and it's absolutely chaos. And when there's a time when he needs, I don't know, prepare for next investment or talks with investors and so on, he is the one who is selling to other companies. So it's crazy, and you need that talent. So basically my role there is, for example, I run partnerships to understand what companies like Microsoft, Google, and big tech companies can help us. How can we grow with them? We also, my job is also because we believe that we won't be able to scale really fast if we're going to have a direct contact with everybody, with each client except the big ones. We want to develop the program who will be able to find agencies, and the agency will be technically resellers of Martina's technology. So that's something that
solve the customer service aspect of
so
it.
for example, that's a perfect role for my type of person, personality. So I think that there are a lot of people who are not even aware that those are the options or possibilities.
Yeah, there's so much fear of even entering the industry. I mean, I come from an arts background, so for me it's like, you know, art and design and everything, and I think that's definitely like, oh, there is a huge fear entering this tech bubble, and there's always this, I would say, it's not really imposter syndrome, but there's always this oh, do I really belong here? Like, should I go back and get another master's degree in computer science, you know? And it's
should I finish something in AI now, just to be sure, to like clarify my role in the startup.
It's like, how many websites do I have to program to say I can design a website, you know? And it's like always like, is it enough? Isn't enough? And I think that's just like my personality.
Yeah.
But I
Don't
think
worry.
definitely, I think there is a lot of value that can be given from people who haven't even touched tech once, and I think they have a lot of confidence, because I think a lot of people working, I don't know, even in beauty and fashion, they have so much confidence. You know, they're filled with this sales business persona that unfortunately our highly educated tech founders are lacking, and they can definitely learn from each other here if you can get them on the same wavelength.
You're trying to do that, like just come to CroAI and we'll try to
try to make it happen. Well, what are the future plans of CroAI? I know there's the summer party coming up.
Yeah, summer party is coming up. Please join us. But we did a lot of things. Like we were really active in policy. We were one of the founders of like main European AI Association, European AI Forum. So I think we're still going to be really active in that. And for example, right now, a Croatian government is doing a lot with the strategy for AI in Croatia and how we are planning to implement AI Act. So we are active in those two groups. So that's something that's really important to us. Still education. For example, last year we started a project that's called AI Educiraj, because before that we had elements of AI for broader public, and before that, after that, we had project called Heroes, where we like brought a lot of cool tech people from our ecosystem to Croatian schools. And then we realized, and then professor asked us, but what about us? So we started the AI Educiraj, and the point was like, okay, how can we educate professors and teachers and deans of high schools and elementary schools? So we covered like 5% of the professors, and this year we are continuing to do so. So for example, I think we have 50% of the state, actually the country. So
very
we are
strong
program. We still are doing that, and I believe that CroAI will always have one mission. You know, we are the platform. We want to create communities, different niche communities, but communities that will gather, I would say, different, cool, smart people who really believe that they can change a lot of things. To do that, you have to organize a lot of events. We have parties, we have micro communities, we have meetups, just to people to get to know each other, to exchange knowledge, and to learn from each other. So I think that will always be the core of CroAI.
Of what's happening. And I think that's incredible, like from the 5% to a 50% increase of education.
Oh no, the other 50% is like the plan of the country, like geographical.
But how is the perception from these teachers? Do they like, or they like learning about AI? Do they like it, or they're kind of conspicuous?
So the goal is 10% of the whole country. And I think it's a mixed feeling. Sometimes they're really scared. And it's like, you know how many problems we have because of this?
They have to always call the IT guy.
Not just because of that, because of the work and papers that students bring them. And they're like, what's going on? But I think, for example, I did a lecture in my hometown a couple of weeks ago, and I was really surprised of how much people already knew.
Okay.
And that was like, wow, this is great. I think what they're expecting now to go even a bit deeper, but what we believe in CroAI, that we have to give you the foundation, and it's, I think it's up to you and it's up to teachers that they have to dig more, because now we have AI, but in 5 years we will have a new technology.
Yeah.
And if we're going to sit aside and wait, oh, can you educate us again? We will have the same problem. We just have to change the attitude that we have towards learning. Like, we have to be open, because I think the associations, even the government bodies and so on are here. Actually, government and government has a different role, and institutions have different role. But associations like ours is like, we have to give you just a push and the foundation, what's going on, what are the key elements and so on. But it's up to you that you have to dig more. And if you need help, you're here. But we have
you can motivate them, but they need to learn on their own. Exactly.
You have to change the mindset. You know, because in 10 years, like I said, in 5 years, we will have a different technology.
It's going to be interesting to see people or, teachers who didn't want to change then kind of regret it after 10 years or not. And it's going to definitely kind of change the landscape. I think it's always, no matter what, I think it's also as a teacher, as a human being, I think it's important to continuously learn. That's the one thing that in my university that they stress, and a continuous learning. Like, you graduate today, but you're never done. So I think being closed-minded, I know it's hard because AI seems like it's taking over the world, and people are scared of 5G networks and ML and AI and everything, and it's all scary for them. But I think of course you're scared if you don't know what it is and what it does. So I think it's going to be really important.
We actually ended up the lecture with one video. I don't know if you watched it. It's called "What If."
Okay.
With 3 points. It's really interesting. It's like 6 minutes. It's really hard to find on YouTube, but it was like technically like from I think it's 18th or 19th century, and all the changes in educational system. And I think one quote was what if, and what if, like, it was always the hypothesis, like, it's not like every teacher will have an email. And all the hypotheses were like that. And everything changed.
Everything came true.
And the point of the video was like, what if we didn't doubt? What if we just let students be students and be open to knowledge, and not just knowledge, to new things, to new technology, and how the educational system would look differently. Because at the beginning we saw a lot of companies, actually a lot of educational institutions, like forbidding or banning ChatGPT or OpenAI or some similar tools. But what would happen if we were open to it? Now we can see that a lot of professors are open to it, but maybe we should start to be open to new technology.
Exactly. I mean, when I was growing up, we weren't allowed to have phones
That
out, right?
was also
I'm not sure how it is in school today, but maybe still. But I think kids are really good at hiding their phones under their table. So, I mean, I don't think you can end up banning it, and students are always going to find a way to.
Exactly.
You ban ChatGPT, they're going to go home and they're going to want to use it even more because you banned it. So it's going to be interesting to see that. But we can't even imagine what the future is going to look like. And I think that same thing in the past, they were protesting against refrigerators and washing machines, and what will the woman do at home? And I think everything takes time. We're just in the beginning of this new AI hype in this new era. So it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of technology, like, how it settles, because I think it's like the dust is here and it needs to sit down, and where it's going to be part of our lives, and maybe we're going to value the part of our lives that we don't use tech even more. So hopefully, we'll spend more time in real life person at events, in contact with people, enjoying life, and then letting the tools, be there for us.
It's going to be interesting, but we always say in CroAI that you can sit aside and watch how the world is changing, or you can be the part of that change. So it's up to you, and it's up to us.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. Yeah, and I'm excited.
It's been a pleasure.
And I'll definitely see you on the CroAI summer party.
Yeah, see you there.
Perfect. You can watch AI Searched on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Let us know what you think in the comments.